In the previous video on my channel, we discussed the Judeo-Islamic origins of the religion of Thelema. In today's video, we're going to continue that expounding. Instead of looking at the central text of Thelema, we're going to be looking at the secondary text of Thelema, this being the Vision and the Voice. The Vision and the Voice, also known as Liber 418, is a systematic explanation of how the 30 Enochian Æthyrs compute and work out. There are different calls, cries, and rituals that are listed in the Vision and the Voice that encapsulate the 30 Enochian Æthyrs. What does this have to do with Islamic coding? You see, at the beginning of the Vision and the Voice, on the 30th Æther, Crowley talks about these books with seals on them that have Enochian symbols on them. If we turn these Enochian symbols into numbers and then synchronize them with Islamic numerological codes, we actually get a very striking synthesis and a very striking similarity between the two. I will talk about what this suggests at the end of the video, but for now, I want to show you guys these synchronizations I found within the Islamic numerological codes and the numerological codes embedded in the Vision and the Voice. In this video, we hope to show you guys more synthesizing and more syncretizing of the Islamic faith with the religion of Thelema. So without further ado, the Ikhwan Astahab, or the Brethren of Gold in English, is proud to present the Islamic Vision and the Voice. You ready? Let's get started. So what are the codes that are embedded in the Vision and the Voice? Well, in today's video, we're going to be covering two of the codes that are in Æther 30 of the Vision and the Voice. In the 30th Æther of the Vision and the Voice, there is these inscriptions of Enochian characters written on books for each of the cardinal points, one for north and one for east. The south and west have books on it, but the Enochian inscriptions on it are kind of hard to make out. So for this video, I will be utilizing these two Enochian inscriptions on the scrolls. So what are they? These are the following inscriptions of the Enochian characters written on the Vision and the Voice. The angel of the north held the code on the left, and the angel of the east held the code on the right. So obviously what we're going to do in this channel, if you guys aren't familiar, is we're going to turn the letters into numbers. But wait a second, are we going to turn this into English gematria, or are we going to do it with Enochian gematria? Well, obviously the text says that it's an Enochian characters, meaning that we should use the Enochian gematria to decode this. So let's pull up the Enochian cipher to understand which letters are which numbers, and then go on from that point. Here they are. Alright everybody, so this is the following cipher that we're going to use for the Enochian alphabet within the geometrical system. So screenshot this picture and refer to it throughout the video, because this is the cipher we're going to be using. Let's get started. So when one decides to turn the Enochian characters written on the scrolls of the Vision and the Voice into numbers, we get the two following strings of numbers, one on the left and one on the right. Now the question arises, what Islamic codings are we going to compare and contrast this with? Well, I have a proposition for you guys. Have you guys ever heard of the two lights of the Holy Quran? Well, if you haven't, this is what it is. In authentic hadith, compiled in Sahih Muslim, an angel descends upon the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who is said to have never appeared on earth ever. This angel that is completely alien to the earth comes to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to enunciate to him that he has been given two lights that no prophet before him has ever received. These two lights being the first chapter of the Quran and the last two verses of the second chapter of the Quran. This being verse 285 and 286. So Surah Fatiha, the first chapter of the Quran, starts with the Basmala, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It is preceded then by 6 verses. So when you put Surah Fatiha into a code, you turn the Basmala or the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim into gematria, which is 786. Then you add that by the remainder verses, which is 6. For the last 2 verses of Surah Baqarah, all you have to do is do 285 and 286. So how do these codes compute with the codes in the vision and the voice? Well, the first code I showed you guys, the code on the left, that computes with the basmalah preceded by the 6 verses. Then the code on the right computes with the last 2 verses of Surah Baqarah. How does this work on a practical scale? Well, in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys a precise calculation of these codes alongside the codes in the Quran. So here's the matchup, guys. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the scroll that was given to Crowley facing the north. This was 6, 8, 1, and 18 if you recall. And we're going to compute that with Surah Fatiha, which is encoded by 7, 8, 6, and 6. So using precise enumerations and calculations, we're going to find the synchronization. Alright guys, so if we compute the northern code on the vision of the voice 6, 8, 1, and 18 with 7, 8, 6, and 6, what do we understand and reveal from this code? Well, if we add all of the numbers together, 6, 8, 1, and 18, we get the number 33, which is already a good number decode-wise because that's the number of mastery and spiritual ascension of the Christ body. Then, if we add 7, 8, 6, and then add another 6 with it, as in like the 6 preceding verses of Surah Fatiha, we get the number 27. Now, 33 multiplied by 27 is 891. 891 subtracted by the Bismillah's gematria value, which is 786, is 105. Do you know what else equals to 105 in this equation? If we express the first 3 numbers in this code, 6, 8, 1, as in 6, 8, 1, and 18, as 681, then we proceed to subtract that by the gematria value of the Bismillah, which is 786. We also get the number 105. So, you guys are probably wondering, we have seen 105 twice in this code now. What is the significance of 105? Well, I'm glad you guys asked. Here is the reason why 105 is so integral. In the Quran, chapter 105, it narrates the tale of the companions of the elephant. This entire chapter is called Surah Al-Fil, or the chapter of the elephant. In fact, a synchronization here is that in Ether 28 of the vision and the voice, Crowley talks about 4 elephants that emerge that hold the watchtowers of the universe on their backs. You want to know something really cool? Fil, or the Arabic word for elephant, has a gematria value of 120. If you take 120 and divide it by 30, as in the 30 ethers, you get 4, as in the 4 elephants that carry the watchtowers on their backs on the vision and the voice. Coincidence? Possibly. But let's move on to the second code now. Next in line, what we have is the code that was on the Eastern Scroll, 61586, alongside the last 2 verses of Surah Baqarah, this being 285 and 286. So, what are these codes and how do they compare and contrast? Okay guys, let's complete the final decoding of this video. This being the code of the Eastern tablet with the last 2 verses of Surah Baqarah. So if we do what we did in the previous decode, which is add the single digit integers together to make a code, this is what it is. 6 plus 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 6 equals 26. Then 2 plus 2 plus 8 plus 5, as in chapter 2 verse 285. Add that by 2 plus 2 plus 8 plus 6, as in chapter 2 verse 286, equals 35. Now if we reverse the numbers, we get 53 and 62. Now the cool thing about this is there's already a hidden symbolism in this, as in chapter 53 of the Quran has 62 verses in it. But that's not all. 53 times 62 equals 3,286. If you guys caught it there, the number 286 is then active and prevalent in this decode, as in chapter 2 verse 286. Then we get to adding. Add 35 by 26. What do you get? 61, right? Now, where is 61 in the decode? It's right here. If you guys check the highlighted message, it's right here. 61 is right here, 6 plus 1. Then 586, which is the rest of the code, 586. If you subtract that by 285 and 286, you get 15. Where is 15? 15 is right here. It's right here in the code. Then, if you subtract 285 by 86, you get 199. Where else do we see 199? Well, the Arabic gematria value of chapter 2, verse 285 is 6041. If we take almost the entire code of the Eastern tablet, this being 6158 instead of 61586, and we subtract that by 6041, we get 12,199. So it seems to me that there's ample opportunities to compute, contrast, compare, and most importantly, synchronize the codes of the Quran with the codes and the vision and the voice. But what is the general takeaway of all this decoding? We did all this rigorous number work for what? What is the meaning behind it? The general takeaway of finding Islamic connections with the vision and the voice is it seems to be that in these Crowleyan and Thelemic scriptures, there seems to be oozing an Islamic presence and an Islamic aura within the field of Thelemic practices. What we can do with this is we can further synchronize Islamic practices and Islamic ideals within the system and framework of Enochian or Thelema. One way we can do this is that in some rituals, it requires to use a water chalice. Now, in Islamic rituals, in Islamic white magic specifically, also known as Ruqya, you can pray over water using the first chapter of the Quran, Surah Fatiha, by reciting it 7 times over water. So you can realistically bless your water and bless your spiritual tools using Islamic invocations and incantations and practices, and possibly have a very good result doing so. Another thing worth noting too is that Crowley seemed to have suggested that there were different ways of deciphering the codes in these books, and Islam seems to be a completely valid way of doing it. Near the end of the book of the vision, the voice, Crowley talks about how the 4 main archdemons, Satan, Lucifer, Belial, and Leviathan, all manifest as the world religion's gods. Most importantly, with Leviathan manifesting as Allah. Now, people may think of this as him basically saying that world religion's gods are demonic, but really what he's saying is that these 4 avenues, Satan being Jesus, Lucifer being Brahma, Leviathan being Allah, and Belial being Buddha, are all these different decodes and all these different deciphers that one can use to better understand the vision and the voice, and even further Thelemic scriptures hopefully in the future. If you guys would like to see more decodes, more breakdowns, and more understandings of how to compute and how to understand Islamic mysticism with different religions, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be sure to deliver way more banger content like this in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and Ikwan Astahab is so glad to have you guys come to our classroom and be a student. Peace out.